threat of disaster is never pleasant.
Welcome to the Casual Preppers podcast.
These safety measures are essential.
The only place for prepping, survival, and entertainment.
This will be your source of survival instructions and information. Every member of the family must be coached in the business of survival.
Here are your hosts, Cam and Kobe.
Well, Cameron, how's it going, buddy?
It's good.
Yeah?
Going real good.
I'm excited for today's episode. And I hope you're excited too.
I am.
Yeah? What are we talking about this fine day?
Stuff we don't know that much about.
That's true, but that is pretty much par for the course for us because we don't know crap about anything. So
well,
here
I think you've probably heard the word floating around the last couple of weeks.
Heard the word.
Inflation.
Yeah.
Hyperinflation.
Yeah, you got to say it with that accent. Hyperinflation.
You talk about hyperinflation.
Yeah.
So we all know that the president's dumping tons of money into everything he can.
Yeah.
I don't even know where he's getting it.
He's not. He's just
White House has a printer again.
Yeah. The nice thing is today they don't even have to print anymore.
No, it's true.
It's just zeros and ones on a keyboard that they.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So throwing money left and right.
Yeah.
And after this stupid pandemic,
mm-hmm.
we're going to be paying a little more for things.
Sure,
we're seeing it already.
We are. So we're going to talk about hyperinflation today. But first, before we go to that, one thing that doesn't, hyperinflation doesn't affect survival gear.
No.
That's where you should put your money. You know what I mean? Just put it all into survival gear. That's what we're saying today.
Safest place to
do it.
The
best place to do is with BattleBox. Because, most subscription boxes, they're full of samples and junk that you're just not going to use. But not the fine folks at BattleBox. It's the monthly subscription box for men, women, children, aunts, uncles, cousins, all of those things. Adventure seekers, survivalists, outdoor enthusiasts, casual preppers. Each month, BattleBox sends you the coolest selection.
Non-binaries?
Non-binaries. Binaries. Each month, BattleBox sends you the coolest selection of hand-picked outdoor...
Pop and different sodas.
Actually, I might sign up for
BattleBox. I'd probably do that.
I totally would.
Do not do it. It's ours. Patented.
Patented. Done. Everyday gear, all valued at far more than what you normally pay. You never know what's in the next box. But here's a sampling of what users received this month. The Hybrid Light Mammoth Multi-Light Charger. That's pretty cool.
That is way cool.
The Lord and Field Tallulah with Scout Carry Sheath. Tallulah. All this badassness starts at just $30 a month. They've shipped almost 8 trillion boxes, and they won Best Men's Subscription Box of the Millennium. Our listeners get a free tactical knife when you sign up at trybattlebox.com/casualpreppers. That is trybattlebox.com/casualpreppers. Get your first battle box plus a free knife at trybattlebox.com/casualpreppers.
Do it.
BattleBox. I want to get one of those.
Just a bunch of different sodas every month.
Dude.
It's amazing.
Honestly, there probably already is one.
I'm sure.
I would guess that there is.
Yeah.
Listener reviews starts now.
Just hanging out.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a weird... Why would he write that as the thing? I don't know.
Just hanging out.
Just hanging out.
That's the title of this
5 stars.
Listening to these two is like hanging out with your best buds, having a couple beers and shooting the ball.
Yep.
It's pure entertainment. The information I receive from them is just a bonus.
Just a bonus. I love how the information is always like a secondary thing. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess I learned something I don't know. But
I got something out of it.
I wasn't thinking about work.
BattleBox hit 1 trillion. Good job.
Good job. Yeah. Hey.
That's all I heard.
Yeah, thank you for the review. If you guys want to be a part of this portion of the podcast, go to iTunes, go to Facebook, go to the Kindle book on Amazon, leave us a 5-star review, and make it awesome.
It's a mad, mad world.
Kim, our buddies over there in Russia, they're just, I love them so much. They're my favorite peoples on the planet. They just, no doubt. So I read a article the other day. Here is the headline, which I find absolutely fascinating and more Russian than anything in the world. Russia is going to try to clone an army of 3,000-year-old Scythian warriors. I don't know. I think that's how you say it, Scythian. Russia's defense minister suggested he wants to clone a group of ancient warriors. This is like so Russian, it's not even funny. right? So they apparently there's some
It's
DNA
funny.
that they've found in some frozen tundra in Russia of these old warriors that were just like super badasses. And he's like, hey, think about this.
Should we put these in a museum? Hell no.
Hell no. Let's make some more. Let's do it.
Time to draw some blood off.
Yeah. Remember that Jurassic Park?
Put a little drill in there, get some DNA out. Boom.
Yeah.
Where are they going to drill?
DNA.
Where are they going to drill into?
I don't know.
Scrotum.
Yeah, probably. But anyways, they have the DNA somewhere, so they're thinking about it. You
That's
know?
cool.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
You go to battle with them. There's like shields and swords, though. What's going on?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I guess you could give them like guns and stuff.
Nah.
Cam's like, no, they can only use shields and swords.
Well, we just wasted that whole army.
Yeah.
They just got shot.
These guys don't know how to use guns. What are we gonna do? So
Be
anyways,
amazing, though.
it would be amazing. So, well done, Russia.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. In other news, the virus lab theory's new credibility.
Yes.
So, if you've been watching the news, that's all true and true.
Yep.
They're starting to push a little harder to re-examine the Wuhan lab.
Yeah.
Because they really are starting to feel. What you sent me an article about them
You
being
said
sick.
you shit.
You
That's
sh-
what you said.
You sent me.
Yeah,
Sent me.
okay. Okay.
About there being some sick employees at the lab.
Like I think it was
early-
like November or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, you can believe what you want to believe.
You can.
But, like, it seems very suspicious that this really highly sophisticated lab in Wuhan that has biosafety level 4 super laboratory that deals with the world's most deadly pathogens, to include, yes, coronavirus,
Of course.
happened to have the first breakouts.
It's funny, man, because we've been talking about that from the very beginning. Like, was this, it was kind of a conspiracy theory for a long time, but now, like, people.
They're starting to get more.
They're actually saying, well, wait, maybe that's actually true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
obviously, China's displeased
Oh,
with
yeah.
us wanting to reevaluate.
of course.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
You ain't doing it.
Get out my lab.
It came from the snakes and the bats that we eat over here.
Get your
we ain't
ass
doing it
out
anymore.
of here.
Go on.
Go on.
Get your ass out of here.
Get your ass out of here.
Says George Strait.
That's funny.
But yeah, so super interesting, and hopefully this is no longer conspiracy. We find the truth. We'll never find the truth.
Probably
But super interesting.
It is.
Pissing China off.
So let's keep an eye on that, shall we?
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One eye fixed on it.
All right, Cameron, hyperinflation. This is a thing that preppers talk about once in a while. It's a thing that
It's like
economists...
inflation, but overinflation.
Overinflation, yeah. We even had a little section in our book that's on Kindle about this. Very little section, though. So what is hyperinflation? Why are we even talking about it? What is the point? But so there are like 8 billion definitions on the internet. This one I found was probably the easiest and most well-rounded definition that I could find. So hyperinflation is a rapid, sustained, and often exponential increase in the price of everyday goods. So obviously that is not great for us.
Anybody.
For anybody, right? So just stuff goes up in price. Like my Monster Energy drink was $2, now it's $4. That makes me upset, right?
Yeah.
So that's hyperinflation. Unlike normal...
And I think people use hyperinflation too fast, too much.
Yes.
Because it's pretty hard to hit that.
We're going to talk about exactly what that means, and it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
It's not like normal inflation. So unlike normal inflation, during a period of hyperinflation, prices for common goods like a loaf of bread can double many times over until they are unaffordable. And this has happened several times in history, and we're going to talk about that and kind of what it did to the countries and the people, because it's absolutely insane. So as prices spiral out of control, a nation's currency becomes nearly worthless, and that's what happens. Like your dollar is not worth $1 anymore.
Yeah.
And
this is where the pictures of burning your money to keep warm.
Exactly.
That's what it would end up being.
And like we said, normal inflation is actually good. There has to be some normal inflation. I'm not a damn economist, but I just know
exactly.
Exactly.
There can't be no inflation.
Yes,
because
there has
you
to
would
be
just
some.
be like,
yes. So
It's dead.
compare that to inflation that is high but is not out of control. For example, the inflation rate in the United States hit 14% in 1980. So that was bad. Coming out of the Carter administration, stuff was not great. That was one of the highest inflation rates in recent U.S. history. So although this level of inflation can cause problems, it's not hyperinflation. 14% is a big deal. And if that happened right now,
horrible.
it would be horrible.
Yeah.
It would be bad. But
And that's still not crazy.
hyperinflation. So usually,
I didn't know this
yes,
until we.
hyperinflation is defined as inflation higher than 50% per month.
Jeez, that's huge.
And actually, we're going to talk about some percentages so that are going to blow your mind. Some of these percentages, like, it is ridiculous, dude. It gets crazy. So normal inflation is measured in terms of monthly price increases. Hyperinflation is measured in terms of exponential daily increases.
That's insane that it can change in a day.
Yes, that can approach 5 to 10% a day. That's a big deal. That's when that's when you know the S is hit the fan, right? So I want to make a note here. Most experts don't believe that the U.S. is anywhere near headed for hyperinflation. I think we're like at 2% or something right now. Like it's a normal, healthy inflation rate. But most people believe there is some more inflation coming, and we're going to talk about that.
Right.
And we're also going to talk about some ways to just like basic economic stuff and basic financial stuff that you guys can do to help when that comes. But we want to talk about hyperinflation.
Yeah, even if you don't want to be paranoid about
Yes.
hyperinflation, you've got to be prepared for inflation.
But I think it's worth talking about hyperinflation because, most likely the Yellowstone caldera isn't going to blow on us. We were talking about this earlier, right? But that doesn't mean it's not fun to talk about or worth talking about.
Exactly.
And also, we have listeners all over the world from this podcast, some in which are in governments in countries that are really like a joke, right? Bigger joke than our country even, if you can believe it. So this actually might be something that they would want to listen to. So let's talk about what causes hyperinflation. So here are some of the basics. Hyperinflation happens more often during times of war, economic turmoil, and depression. And then I added maybe after a really stupid pandemic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that to me, that's a reason. And there's a lot of people in the news talking about inflation right now. It seems like it's everywhere, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, anyways, hyperinflation is mainly and usually caused by an extremely rapid growth in the supply of paper money. This occurs when the monetary and fiscal authorities of a nation regularly issue large quantities of money to pay for a large stream of government expenditures. Does this sound familiar at all to you, Cameron?
I know, it's scary.
Has this happened recently in the United States? It has, in fact.
Is it happening?
Is it happening currently? Yes, it is.
What's the one they're trying to do now? It's like
the
$1 trillion
the infrastructure
for
deal. Yeah, it's a big one too. So the several stimulus packages have basically been a large printing of digital money. Like they're just like that money didn't exist. They just like said, here's money. You have money now. So all that does is put more money into circulation, like it was saying, and that's exactly what causes. Well, it's one of the causes of inflation, right? And again, I'm not an economist. I'm reading this shit online.
Right. No, but it's true. Yeah.
So please don't come at me.
Well, that's one thing. Is it like going back to when we talked about crypto and everybody's like, whatever you think about cryptocurrency, the one thing is that it's limited.
Some of them are, yes.
Like Bitcoin
is limited.
A limit, and that's why the inflation doesn't affect it as much.
Exactly. There's only so many Bitcoins. For dollar bills,
keep printing and making stuff that doesn't exist.
Bills, we can just keep making dollar bills, y'all.
Not to mention the effect on the freaking workforce.
Exactly.
I ain't working.
Exactly.
I'm gonna get a check next month.
Yes. In the 9 weeks between March 2nd, 2020 and May 11th, 2020, the Fed added $2.3 trillion to the money supply.
I'm gonna count that up.
Count it up. That's equivalent of creating $425,000 every second. Every second.
Oh my God.
So, and that's for 9 weeks straight. So think about that. That can't be great. I mean, even if that doesn't lead to hyperinflation, it just can't be great, right? So another thing that would lead to hyperinflation is a total loss of confidence in money. And that's like our fiat currency, right? Because of its decreasing value. So like Cam mentioned, cryptocurrency is on the rise. Like, it's really popular right now. And one of the reasons is because it's decentralized, because there's not a government that's just controlling it, and it's deflationary, right? It doesn't just, you can't just make all of it you want for some of them. Some of them you can, but so.
And I know, like, I have people I know that are smarter with money, you know, and work in finances. Some of them are accountants, and they do put a little into things like crypto because they're like, I'm hedging a little against inflation.
Absolutely.
And so it's smart.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways that you can hedge against inflation, and Cam's going to talk about that later. But so yeah, when has this happened in history? And it has happened a few times. I have 3 examples that are pretty glaring examples, and the most recent one is in Venezuela. You know, that's a socialist, almost communist country, right? So what happened in Venezuela? It was basically the result of 2 decades of gross economic mismanagement, ridiculous public spending, government debt, which is crazy because the oil reserves they have in that place, which is all...
Oh, it's a rich country.
It's a really rich country because they have so much oil, and the country owns the oil. And the biggest reason is because of the corruption there in the country, right? Is really bad. So inflation just started to go nuts. And they tried to help that because the food prices were going so high that they said, okay, we're going to put price controls on certain foods like bread and rice and things that people had to have, right?
Yeah.
So they would go buy that as much as they could get, and then they would go to over the border in Colombia and sell it for 5 times the amount because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that wasn't great. And then the shop owners in some of the shops, or most of the shops, had to use money counting machines on every transaction because they would just bring in bags of cash to buy stuff. So by 2016, the inflation rate hit over 700% in 2016. By late 2017, the inflation rate exceeded 50% a month. It was a turning point in the economist signals that they were officially in hyperinflation. Okay, in 2018...
I can't even calculate 20% off.
I know.
700%?
Yeah. Think about this. In 2018, inflation hit 1.8 million%.
How do you even...
The money, it's just you can't use it anymore at that point, right?
It's just like a piece of like notebook paper is more valuable
than the actual money.
A freaking currency.
Yeah, it's more valuable as a fire starter than it is to buy something. So that just obviously it went out of control. And then they did some weird stuff where they tried to make like another currency. So there was like 2 currencies going
in circulation.
It was a mess.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't work out. Obviously, they weren't very smart. And one of the things is the hyperinflation obviously hits the poorest people the hardest because they didn't have any money to start with. And now the little money they had that was just buying food, it was worthless. So they have reported losing the Venezuelans overall reported losing an average of 24 pounds in body weight over the last, over that period. And nearly 90% of people in the country are in poverty now.
Wow.
So
I'd be out of business if that many Americans lost that much.
Oh gosh, yeah, exactly. That's your main customers, huh? Overweight people. So that is just to show that it can happen.
Yeah,
you know,
the thing that's crazy to think about to me is like, okay, so if you've been to South America, it's like super fertile and like the weather's really like favorable for growing.
Yeah,
it's like these people could like live if they had like prepared. I'm you know, they went through a lot, and I'm not saying that everything would have worked out, but it's like I can see how people suffer in like freaking in Syria.
Yeah,
like what do you grow there?
Egypt,
rocks, more rocks.
Yeah, sand farms.
And this is a really rich country of being able to grow whatever you spit a seed and it'll grow, and it's like they starved. So it's like it's crazy, it's terrifying to think of how easy how much we rely on. Like the easy production of food and the delivery of food and all that stuff. So
yeah, it's crazy. Another big one is the Weimar Republic. So this was basically this happened because after World War I, there was all those reparations and payments.
Screwed Germany.
Yeah, like it wasn't great for them, right? And so prices doubled every 2 days on stuff there once that started going. In 1918, a loaf of bread cost 1/4 of a Reichsmark, right? In 1923. The market price for bread spiraled to 80 billion Reichsmarks. 80 billion.
There's like that famous picture of a guy with a wheelbarrow full of money.
And that was
to
in the
buy
Weimar
a piece
Republic.
of bread. Yeah.
Yeah. So from that's in, let's see, 5 years. It went from a quarter of a Reichsmark, a quarter to 80 billion of them.
So ridiculous.
Like, that's ridiculous. So that's another one where it just went out of control. And there's a ton of stories from then. Like Cam was saying, there's wheelbarrows of money being hauled
to
around.
buy a simple piece of like a loaf of bread. It's insane to think that could even happen.
I know. So, and I remember a story I was reading about that. They were just saying that like they couldn't keep menus in cafes because the price would change like hourly sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
Because the inflation was so bad.
So
So
they
they
dry
couldn't
erase board.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
You order a drink, and then when they bring you the bill,
Yeah, it's like pay
10
before.
times more than it was.
Pay beforehand because it just gets worse and worse. Another one was in Zimbabwe. And the result of Robert Mugabe's land reform policy, apparently, I don't know that much about this, and the drop in food production and foreign investment that followed it just decimated the country. Zimbabwe dealt with hyperinflation between 2006 and 2009. During the month of March of 2007, the inflation rate there was 1,730%, which is not great. To put that in perspective, a $2 loaf of bread on March 1st would cost $36.60 on the first day of April.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can just see
invest in bread.
Invest in bread. But you can just see what inflation does to people. It's bad. In November of 2008, Zimbabwe had an inflation rate of 89.7 sextillion%. What? Roughly 9.
Who even follows it at that point?
I know.
I don't know. It's not worth anything.
It's a 9 followed by 22 zeros percentage.
Oh my gosh.
The daily inflation rate was 98% with prices
daily 100% swing almost.
With prices doubling every 25 hours. It was so bad the government was printing $100 billion bills.
There's still countries that go off from that.
I know.
You know, it's like one's like you get it the size of a penny and it's like 40,000.
You're like, whoa, I'm rich.
Where does this go?
No, I can't even buy you a piece of gum. Oh, okay. So, anyways, it has happened. It can happen, and it probably will happen again. But those are some of the recent, hyperinflation.
Wow, that's terrifying.
I know.
That would be such a.
I know.
What a mess.
It is a huge mess.
So, some of them have been mentioned, but what are like some of the common effects from inflation and hyperinflation?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the biggest problem would be a shortage of food.
Yeah.
Because one, you've got food that you're not prepared for, like you don't have your own supply.
Yes.
And you go to the grocery store and you have these fluctuating prices. So what happens is they run out of getting their supply, and then you're paying a fortune for it. Mm-hmm. So immediately food becomes a huge crisis. And
it's
that's
like
the biggest
cycle
of all crises.
Yeah, it's like this cycle because they run out of it, and then there's a shortage, and then a shortage jacks up the prices, let alone the inflation has already jacked it up.
It's just a big freaking mess. And then fuel. Mm-hmm. And fuel is used to transport goods. So you've got like that dual issue there.
Yep.
And then, just regular goods. So one thing is, like some places, they have such strict price controls, meaning that producing, distributing, and commercializing food is either going to lead you to bankruptcy, or if you sell it at a profit, you're going to go to jail.
Yes.
So it's
that happened
almost
in Venezuela.
Yeah, it's like against the law to increase the price to make a profit. So there's like the business can't make it. So you just lose businesses.
Yeah, you can't sell.
Grocery stores close.
Yep.
Gas stations are closed down. So it's like, where do you even get the food now?
Yeah.
You go to a truck in the middle of town that comes every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Kill people for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you lose the food and the production of food and the ability to get food. So then you get starvation. And that's what Kobe was saying is in Venezuela, they lost, what was the average?
24 pounds.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So starvation, huge problems with that, obviously, health problems. And then that brings me to the lack of medications and the ability to see somebody for, these medical treatments. What happens too with that is the production, the distribution, and the vaccinations and things like that. So you get all these diseases that have been suppressed and disappear. They start coming back. And so you just go way back in time.
Yeah.
And just turn into like, 1910, and you're having all these issues and scared of comets and all kinds of stuff.
No, I was going to say, that's right back to the Halley's Comet.
But yeah, you start having these outbreaks of these diseases and you can't treat them. You don't have the medications available to treat them. So It's just like
it's a downward
crisis
spiral
after crisis, and it's crazy. Some countries, I think it was Venezuela again, they started to ration electricity.
Yeah.
So,
which is crazy for a country like that.
Yeah.
That is all about energy. Like that is their number one export.
A fossil fuel powerhouse.
Yes.
And then, not to mention all the other ways of producing power. And they're like you're having to ration your electricity. So now you look like North Korea at night. Shut everything off.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of issues that come with that, storing food, production of, doing, like, think of all the things that we do we rely on the power grid.
Yeah, everything.
If you're like shutting down at night, it's just crazy.
No podcasting.
No Netflixing.
No Netflixing.
Yeah. So, and there's a lot of people that depend on electricity for their medical supplies, like oxygen concentrators, CPAP, refrigeration of medicines and things like that. So obviously not just, it's just one thing after another just starts to fail. Hoarding, we see this all the time. When they know prices are going up, they don't even know why people are buying, like the toilet paper crisis of 2020.
Oh.
They don't even know why. They just see people buying a ton of it. They hear by word of mouth or by social media, and so they just hoard. And this is a waste if you're not prepared to like store and use, and people do this all the time. So you'll see that big time, obviously.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Borrowers, like banks, they're just going to start to fail because they don't have anything. There's nothing keeping them alive.
Yeah. They need your money.
People are pulling all their savings out.
Yeah.
And then the depreciation of the currency, there's nothing for them left. So banks close. You can't even get your money anymore. Nothing's left in any ATMs. So with whatever you want to buy, fuel or money, you can't even get it anymore if it's stored in those places. Investing in investments, so your long-term financial preps start to become unpredictable, messy.
Ugh.
You don't have anywhere to put and gain. You can't,
and you may have to just take it out anyways to survive.
Right.
Right.
And so you have to be smart and understand how to watch what your money's doing and what's more value. So, for example, it's like you have a savings account and it's making 5%. Don't know where that exists anymore, but
5%. You just like 0.05%. Literally.
That's
most
that's
of them.
what it is.
Yeah.
And so you've got an inflation that's, 7%. You're losing money.
You're losing
that money's
value.
sitting there doing nothing and you're losing it. So most people are going to want to pull it out. And then that just crashes.
Just pull out, Cam.
Just pull out. And then obviously, and we even have seen this, is like the job loss.
Yes.
Employees, like we were talking, this companies, it's against the law to increase the price for, to sell the bread. And then the people that are there working, they can't afford to pay for an employee.
Yeah.
So then they're laid off. And then those people are looking for food and jobs. And oh, man. So, anyways, you can just see how this just is just one thing after another. It just like stacks on itself. And then you may have, a country that decides, let's create a new currency.
That one ain't working out. Let's get another one.
And then you've got all these, well, actually, we only take some stupid name for dollars. I don't know what to say. We don't take dollars anymore.
Doll hairs.
Take horse hair.
Horse hair.
It's just, oh, man, what a mess. So, if any of you were in South America, you probably know more than any of us.
For sure.
Argentina went through this. Brazil, when I was there, it was 7% different in the time I was there. It's done better, but I remember my parents, would send me $20. I would go and convert it to Brazilian reais or reals is what it's called.
Reals, ooh.
This is real money.
Yeah, this is reals.
So stupid.
Senor.
And I would have like $100, $120 of Brazilian money from a $20 bill from the United States.
And then you would send it back to them, and you guys were just making money. Boom, 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 boom.
I was the richest man. So, but I remember seeing that. I'm like,
Wolf of Wall Street type
How could
thing.
it be that the dollar is that much more valuable in this country? And that was only a 7%.
Yeah.
But it's like $20. I could buy I bought the official soccer jersey.
Soccer jersey.
But I remember they had items that were imported. Like they had a PlayStation. I remember seeing it in the store.
Yeah.
And this was in dollar amounts. It was like $400.
Oh.
So it was like, they were charging that much. And in Brazilian money, it was like $1,500 to buy a PlayStation. So
Yeah.
it's like imported goods become outrageously expensive. So anyways, as you can see, with inflation, not even hyperinflation, you get a really big swing, 20%. That's not
Yeah.
even hyperinflation.
No.
You can't afford to live that way.
You can't.
So nothing, everything
Yeah.
just starts failing. So scary.
Yeah, it's bad. And there are some other effects that could happen and usually do happen when these things that are sort of indirect, not like the straight. We talked about the transportation, the supply lines, the fuel prices. Obviously, fuel prices will go really high, and that means the food and the goods probably aren't getting delivered, and just like Cam was talking about. And you might not even be able to get gasoline at this point because it's so expensive and it's hard to get. Just as soon as like supply lines get messed up, that's when like shit really hits the fan. Like that's when stuff starts to go super haywire, right? And that's gonna happen.
It's a like super scary, inconvenient deal because like when it like we live pretty remote, so we rely on trucking.
Yes, everything.
And like the pandemic, those first like in March, it was kind of terrifying.
It was a
I
little
like,
scary.
Man, we're not getting the normal stuff that we get. It's like, what if we lose any more of that? Like, where am I going to get my food?
Where am I going to get my sweet and sour sauce?
I did not want to touch my
McDonald's
25-year
didn't have it.
shelf life stroganoff.
Exactly.
Wasn't going to it.
Another thing that could happen throughout this is just like a straight up economic collapse. Like obviously you're basically in one anyways if you're in hyperinflation, but it could just like the whole system could go bye-bye because of this. And so
no economy in a country?
Yeah, just
that
none.
would be awesome.
It'd be bad. But I think we did an episode way back in the day on surviving an economic collapse or something. But and it's very similar to what we're talking about here. But it could just collapse the whole thing, which is very scary. Another thing that will and probably is going to happen is chaos, riots, and social unrest, especially in our country, in the United States. People don't like hyperinflation. They want their money to be worth more, right? And especially these really soft first world Americans, we don't like that. We're entitled and we don't want those things to happen. So as soon as something like this happens, that means it's time to riot. It's time to cause some chaos. It's time to start burning some
any hardship and people lose their minds.
Yes. So that is going to happen, especially when you can't afford food. That's when I think,
people lose their minds,
they're going to really lose their minds if they can't afford food.
Right.
That's going to be bad. So this chaos and stuff, it's going to happen. So that's something you're going to have to be worried about and thinking about during this. And then that will inevitably lead to martial law, right? I just can't imagine.
It would have to.
Yes, I can't imagine something like that not happening if it got bad enough, especially in our country.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, when you're looking at starvation and death of you and your family,
what are you going to do?
What point are you going to go to get food? You're probably going to sacrifice, know, the safety of yourself to get food from anywhere.
And when enough of that happens, the government's just going to be like, all right, well, I guess we've got to do this because this is bad. So martial law is
people are really good with government control.
Oh, they love
it. They're like, okay,
yeah,
I'll submit.
I'll submit. No, but martial law is going to be most likely a bad deal. I mean, you lose your freedoms. You don't have your guns anymore. You're losing all of these different
masks.
You have to wear masks. Gosh damn martial law. Hate it. So those are just some of the sort of secondary effects that could lead to worse things, worse and worse. It's like these cascading issues that kind of happen, inflation, hyperinflation, boom, and then, chaos and then martial law.
I remember when Venezuela was going through, I don't know if there still are, but you just see like the only time they show news is like cars burning.
Exactly.
People are just rioting.
It's not good. I think, was it down there where like people were breaking into the zoo to like eat the animals? Wasn't it down there?
It was down there.
I think it was.
I'm pretty certain it was.
I guarantee you people here
catch monkeys eating them.
I mean, there's probably some guys out there right now thinking, I just can't wait for this chaos to start because I want to eat a lion. I want to eat a monkey so bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, those penguins. Fat little penguin.
Friggin' penguin bacon.
It's not a bad idea, though.
You know what I mean?
They're all caged up.
So maybe that's a good plan to just
live near a zoo.
Move near the zoo.
Yeah.
And then you just sneak in there at night, take your game, head home.
What happened to...
You know what I mean?
I'm going after the whale.
Hulu the panda is found.
Bones and all. Just bones are all left.
Yeah.
Barbecue grill set up next to it.
We don't know what happened. We think the other panda ate it.
Grilled him up.
Grilled him up.
Yeah, so maybe that is a smart plan. But to a point of going in and killing and eating animals just sitting in a cage, I guess we do that already. But
those poor little animals.
Poor little animals.
Meanwhile, 9 million chickens are in like one tiny cage in the United States.
I know, I was thinking, I'm like, what's the difference?
There is no difference. It's just the different animals.
Now you guys are gonna think that we're you're libtards and animal lovers. But you know, even worse than all this, of all things, is this dirty, nasty F word of a pandemic. And what challenges it has brought us.
The C word.
But we rely heavily, so much right now, on tech. We don't want to ration our electricity right now. But with everybody going online, trying to buy stuff, not going out of their homes during this pandemic.
Downloading podcasts.
Yeah. Cybercrime has shot through the roof.
Dang.
But you can protect yourself today.
It's so easy.
It is. It actually is super freaking easy.
Yeah.
You go to Surfshark. They are a virtual private network that can protect you and all of your devices from online threats.
Coolest name out of all of them.
I just got an email 2 weeks ago from Surfshark that said, your email's been compromised. You went to Pornhub. It's gone.
It's over.
Just kidding.
Get rid of it.
But yeah, you use their server through their app, and you can go, I mean, not just a server.
Yeah.
You can go and connect to the intranets through a server out of
Brazil.
France or Brazil.
Yeah.
And so you cannot be tracked. You basically go full gray man online. And this is whatever device connects to the internet. It's not limited to 2 devices or 3 devices.
Your refrigerator.
Yeah.
Your Xbox.
Yeah, so you can actually, I haven't done this, but I want to. You can set up through your router for it to use a virtual private network
on everything
from Surfshark and stuff. Pretty dang cool. But their app is like the cleanest, simplest. Like you just click connect and it just picks a server for you, or you can pick your own. If you don't know what this is and it's confusing to you, the nice thing is that you can go subscribe and you can basically get it for 30 days, money back guarantee.
That's a good deal.
I encourage you to do it because
too.
you don't really know how this works until you try it. And they will let you do that for 30 days. Go to surfshark.deals/casual preppers. You can get 24 months plus 3. That's 27 months. And it will cost you less than $60. There's no deal out there better than this. So keep yourself protected.
Yes.
Go to surfshark.deals/casual preppers.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah, and use our code. Okay.
Yes.
Just put in our code. You got to do it
on everything you do.
Yes. So we talked about hyperinflation, but most likely there is some inflation coming, and there are some pretty easy. Well, some of these are easy. Some of them aren't quite so easy, but there are some ways that you can help hedge yourself against coming inflation, right, Cam?
So yeah, focusing on your finances.
Yeah.
First of all,
and it's important.
Right.
It really is. You got to think about it as a prepper. A lot of times people don't want to think about financials.
No. And they want to think, my debt's going to disappear during a crisis. Why do I even care about getting in debt?
Debt doesn't disappear.
Yeah. No.
It doesn't.
That's actually, you're going to be the first people they go after.
Yeah.
So, one of the, like, if you go and look up ways to protect yourself from inflation, the first thing you're always going to see is to diversify.
Yes.
Diversify. So basically, you don't want all your money in one place.
Yeah.
You want to put your money into different assets like precious metals. Consider cryptocurrency. Like I said, this is unpredictable. It's volatile, but
boy, it's a good time though, ain't it?
It is, yeah.
Cam and I have like almost daily texts, like back and forth.
Just
like,
watching it's pretty exciting. Yeah, it's
some
like,
days we're happy.
It's like going to the casino.
It is.
You're like, woo! I just made some money, and then the next day you're like, I lost it all.
Everything's gone.
But it's super. But like we were talking about, you know, go back, listen to our episode.
Yeah.
There's a limited amount. It's a little bit protected against inflation. Some of them. So, anyways, look it up. Real estate is another strategy.
Yes. Which is harder.
Yeah.
It's a little bit harder sometimes, but there's other ways you can invest in real estate too.
Exactly.
Like through the stock market if you wanted to.
And so stocks and bonds, you really need to pay close attention and learn how to watch and follow trends and things like
Yes.
that. There's other ones. There's like tips, treasury, inflation protected securities, things like that.
I
You
actually
can
did buy
continue-
some of that.
Did you?
Yes, in my my IRA.
So these are good ideas to first, like you're taking your money and spreading it into these different areas is much safer than
Yes.
just putting it all into Apple stock.
Yeah, or just leaving it
Or
all in your
all
savings
into
account.
Bitcoin, or leave savings account's probably the worst.
Seriously, like it's good to have that savings, like we talked about that emergency fund and all that. But
Exactly.
if you just leave that money in there, the inflation rate is going to outpace your
It will.
interest rate, and
Yeah.
so you are going to be losing value as it goes along. So you've got to figure out ways to
So
make this work
savings
for you.
needs to be different than the old time savings that you're
Yes.
thinking.
Uh-huh.
It's still savings, but it's working for you.
Exactly.
But yeah, like you really need to get some money education. And sadly, I've been doing it a lot more this late in my
Yeah.
life, which is so stupid.
Me too, man. The earlier you can start, the better off you
Yeah,
are.
it really is important.
And the nice thing about it today is YouTube is a wealth of knowledge and it's all friggin' free. dude.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you can learn so much
I agree.
there, and like it doesn't take too long to figure out a few little things.
Yeah.
You know?
And like for the longest time, I was like, oh, you got to be a genius for stocks and
Yeah.
all that stuff. But as you've seen through time, stock markets, wax and wane. But for the most part, it's a secure thing. It
Yes.
helps the country and everything like that. So, anyways, look into that stuff. As for your debt, we will always recommend you get out of it
As much as you can.
Work as much as you can. Focus on your debt of getting out of it because you're not going to just be ignored. Like, oh well, we don't have money.
Yeah.
Money's not valuable. There's nobody that's going to come and collect money from me. No, you'll be the first ones that are trying to get money from.
Well, and some of that debt is worse than others too, like that high interest credit card debt. Like, boy, that's hard.
Exactly.
That's a hole that is hard to get out of.
Yep, and they talk a lot about like the variable rate loans.
Oh yeah,
With home loans,
Like the ARMs and all that
anything
stuff.
like that. That they are going to be impacted big time by inflation. Like
sure.
it'll swing, and then you're paying a ton. So, in any way that you can refinance or whatever to get fixed rate loans, because those are supposed to be protected.
yes.
If you haven't learned to budget, or you haven't tried it out a little bit, you're probably not in the best place. And I'm not saying I'm the best budgeter. I'm not. But you need to learn how to use your money more efficiently and how, because if you break it down, you're like, man, I go to the grocery store way more than I thought. Like you don't become efficient at using your money the best. Like that's one thing like me and my wife keep talking about. We need to work on like making sure. So, I'm preaching, I'm a hypocrite here.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, honestly, if you learn to budget, you learn how to use your money more wisely. Like, I'm going to buy this. It's going to last 2 weeks rather than, I'm going to buy a loaf of bread every other day. And that just protects you too when things go crazy because it's like, oh, I have a little more that's going to last longer.
Exactly. Buying in bulk, man, if you can.
Yeah.
Especially
you
as a
just
prepper.
You
It's a
need to
big
really
deal.
focus on ways to budget.
Yeah, and like you said, it's more efficient with your money if you're buying in bulk because you're getting a better deal for what you're getting.
Exactly.
Plus, you're getting stuff for your preps, kind of,
So, yeah, and the budgeting wouldn't,
Exactly.
include all that.
It's all the same.
So, and this is part of like diversifying your money is where can you use your money that's probably safest? Renting, owning real estate, owning places to rent and things like that are really good to look into. Owning land doesn't typically, it doesn't become completely invaluable.
It usually holds its value.
It does.
If not, increases its value.
So look at if you're in the position to use your money for these things, people need shelter. The one thing that's weird is because it's tricky, like I've seen people that own rentals get screwed during COVID because of stupid little, they've had to like have people in there not paying.
Yeah.
And they've gone
there's nothing
under.
they can do.
And that's pretty crappy.
Yeah.
But it's still like most likely safer to own real estate and, and land and things like that. And again, that goes back to making sure your loans aren't flexible loans because you will be the one paying for the inflation.
Yes.
Savings, like we talked about, this doesn't mean a savings account because those are pure trash. Look into ways to save more effectively. Like you want to use like mutual funds and, we've talked about that in our finance episodes. Probably easier to just go look at that.
Or even make sure they're at least like in a high interest savings account,
Right.
which usually you can just find them online.
Yep.
get the best rate you can.
Yeah. And still, we talk about like money becoming invaluable. You still, like, it's stupid to not have an emergency fund and easily accessible cash.
Yeah.
It would take quite a bit for it to become completely irrelevant. So, but if you have that cash available, not in an ATM or a bank, that you can, help yourself for that short little time, that's still a huge advantage. Alternative currency, that's where we're talking, like crypto's becoming used more and more. That's an option. Precious metals, I think are a good idea. I don't have a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like, look elsewhere for information on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always a good idea
Gold,
to have
silver, all that is not going to, like, gold, if you had a, $20 coin, the ounce back in, 1930s, it has gone only up.
Yep.
So those are kind of a good place to put. There's going to be value in that, bartering, using it as a currency. Just look into alternative ways that you could basically buy things for you and your family.
Yeah.
And then things that you could purchase now that you have the ability to do, that you've been wanting to do, you probably should consider, the importance of it now while it's affordable.
Yes.
Solar power. I'm not saying you put solar energy and pay somebody $30,000 to install it in your house, but look into ways to supplement the power that you're using now. Buy that freaking generator if you've been planning on doing it.
Are you talking to me?
Oh yeah, you need one.
Talking to me.
But those things that you're like putting off, if you have the ability to do it for security in the future, that's just comes down to using your money more wisely now, because they may not be available and your cash isn't going to go very far.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyways, that's just kind of a quick breakdown of using and basically hedging yourself against inflation with your own finances now.
Yeah. And that is all great advice, irrespective of any sort of hyperinflation coming.
Right, exactly.
It's just good advice all the time.
It's kind of a quick summary of our finance episode, but
exactly.
like Colby said, there's so many valuable websites and YouTube videos. Like, look into it now, because it's like, it's going to help you in the long run if there's no inflation.
Exactly.
And you're going to be protected a bit more than just going off from what you've been doing for the longest time.
Exactly. So let's look at the prepping side of this. What are a few things to think about to get yourself ready for a situation like hyperinflation, right? And one of the biggest things is just storing those basic items that you might need, because they're cheap right now. They're insanely cheap, like razors and matches and toothbrushes and toothpaste and basic OTC meds and stuff. Those kind of things that you need all the time, that if some sort of even inflation hits, they're going to be more expensive. Right now, it doesn't cost you much to go get a couple extra toothbrushes or an extra thing of ibuprofen or whatever it is, and just store them, right? As preppers, we do this anyways, but for this situation, the more stuff like that you can get, the better off you're going to be, right?
Yeah.
It's just cheap. It's super cheap.
Yeah, I think I bought 3 liters of 90% like rubbing alcohol on Amazon during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And right now, it's probably 30% less than what I paid.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, if you had those things ahead of time, some of those preps,
it's a big deal.
You don't
right?
have to pay a fortune.
Yeah, and fuel is another one of those things that when inflation hits, it's going to be more expensive. So the more you can store, and man, I know it's so hard to store that fuel, but you're going to be better off, and you can only store so much. But having some on hand is going to be very, very helpful in any of these situations.
Propane, gas, all those things.
Yeah, absolutely. Cam briefly touched on this, but bartering, and we did an entire episode on bartering back in the day. It's been a long time, but that could be the new marketplace. It could be the new economy. If that hyperinflation gets to the point where your money is worthless, what do you do now to get goods and to get services? You barter. That's the only way to do it at this point. So understanding the process of bartering and having either a supply of goods to barter with or skills.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
You know what I mean?
Like, it's not always just tangible goods.
Exactly.
Like, if you know how to do something, you can be valuable and make, I'm going to do this for a loaf of bread.
Exactly. And so having those things are going to be huge. And then keeping, for bartering, those vices are always nice to have on hand, like coffee.
Vice grips?
Vice grips, coffee, alcohol, cigarettes, anything with sugar in it, like all that stuff.
Tell my wife I'm buying this for bartering.
This is all for bartering. But those, you just think about that process as part of your preps for a situation like this for hyperinflation. Because, and it's not
people
even just
are freaking uncomfortable.
Yes,
and they want things that give
make them comfortable.
And they're gonna pay whatever it takes to get them. They will trade you bullets to have a bag of coffee. I guarantee it.
A bag of coffee, exactly.
A 50-pound bag of coffee.
Yeah, just send it over. And then obviously it always comes back to this: food, water, and your basic stuff like your meds and all that. You know what I mean? This is a must for any scenario. We talk about this constantly, but it all comes back to being prepped in this area: food and water. Your storage could be everything in a
keep
hyper.
You alive.
Yeah, it'll
Can't
keep
eat your
you
money.
alive. You can't. It doesn't matter. You can't eat your stocks. You can't eat your bonds, but you can eat the food, right? So when the food prices start to rise, even if it's a slow rise, like, okay, I've got this food, I can supplement my food for the week with this, and I'm going to be saving a ton of money while this inflation is happening, right? Yeah. Even if it's not like dire straits. So that's just always think about your food and water and your meds and all that stuff. And we always talk about your daily meds, but what about the stuff that keeps you alive? Maybe you have a heart problem or it's diabetes or whatever it is.
Yeah,
again,
exactly.
Those are going to be a huge thing to have on hand because you don't know what the supply chain is going to look like. You don't know how much it's going to cost. So you have to be ready for that.
Yeah. And I know we have several listeners that are like hardcore gardeners. You know, it's like, that's going to get them so far.
Yes.
It's like, and that goes back to the skills, you know. You can use those skills to freaking, you know, be self-sustaining. It's pretty.
Yes.
I need to be a better gardener.
I do too. I haven't done it for a few years and I need to get back to it.
You guys used to freaking like leave zucchinis all over your yard for us.
For sure, yeah.
You coming over, you get 16 zucchinis.
Yeah, take a zucchini home with you and a kid. Whatever you want. Go for it.
Yeah.
Another aspect of prepping for this is your security and your self-defense. As I talked about, many times when this is going to happen, there's going to be chaos, there's going to be riots, there may be martial law. So your home security and your self-defense are going to be crucial, especially if you're living in a big city and things like that, because we know what happens in those cities.
Grocery stores are out of food.
Yes.
Gas stations are closed. Where's the next best location to
Yo
find
house.
food? Yeah.
Yo kitchen.
Yo mama's house.
Yo mama's house. All that stuff. So
Mrs. Fields' house. Go eat her cookies.
Cookie time, bros. Cookie time. And maybe people know that you're a prepper. Maybe you haven't been the best gray man. Maybe you got a podcast about prepping and everybody knows what you got. So you have to be ready with that home security, with that self-defense. You know what I mean? Make sure that your bug-in plan has that really good home security plan because people are going to be desperate and they're going to come after you. So a security system is going to be crucial. They're so cheap these days. You can do it for
you can do
darn
it in your
near
sleep.
enough.
You can do it in a tree. You
Exactly.
can do it in a box. You can do it with a fox.
Exactly. So get yourself a security
Speaking
system.
of, I need to set that one up.
You do. Home defense weapons, 5.56, 223,
Oh, yeah.
all the things.
Say it again,
Hey
brother.
now,
Say it again.
keep it in your pants, boy. All right.
Did you say 5.56? A terrible idea.
Yeah, I know. So you got to be thinking about those things. Crime's going to be way more rampant during economic hardships: muggings, carjackings, petty theft, violence, raping.
What do people
pillaging.
have left? You know, it's like, who cares?
They don't care.
I'm gonna go steal. If I get killed, I get killed.
Yeah. So if you're going downtown, be able to defend yourself if somebody comes after you. So have some self-defense skills. Understand self-defense weapons. All of those things is going to be huge.
Yeah.
For all of this.
You remember in like one of the scenes in World War Z when he like has that gun in the shopping when they're like shopping and he like has to defend himself and that cop's like running in and he's like puts his hands up and the cop just runs by and grabs some baby formula.
Exactly. But like, that's how it's going to be if it's bad enough.
They're trying to survive themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, that is a cool scene in that movie though, isn't it?
That one was cool.
You may have to scavenge. Again, we've done a couple episodes on scavenging, but think about that. It could get bad enough to where
you got to figure out a way to
exactly. And if society collapses in a real way for a long term, just live by the zoo, eat giraffe neck for the next 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Ostrich gizzard is my favorite.
No, you got to keep them live ostrich eggs. Those things are gigantic.
Seriously.
It's like them eggs on Willy Wonka.
Scrambled egg of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you feed your whole
big
family.
Pot full of egg.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
You ever eaten ostrich eggs? It's on Seinfeld. You
Is
ever
that-
eaten ostrich eggs? Yeah,
Oh man,
it's funny. So be thinking about scavenging.
owl eggs were our other
Oh yeah, owl eggs. That was the other one.
delicacy.
Be ready to bug out. Have that bug out plan, because might get too bad.
It might.
You might have to get out of there. There's actually
This
a lot
is
of people.
Second person trying to break it. I'm out of here.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in Venezuela that did flee the country. And I don't know if they had a bug out plan, but they bugged out, right? They got out of there due to those poor conditions. So always have a good bug out plan and have that
Could you
gear
imagine if we had to flee to Mexico? How well they would accept us.
ready. Well, how? I was like, I was going to
Chinese guy.
Chinese accent. How the heck do I do a Mexican?
Man, what are you doing?
Hey man, as the tables are turned now, aren't they?
That's fancy big problem. That fancy big problem, man. Huh?
Yeah. Maybe should have built that fence. I don't know.
I know a way out.
Yeah.
I know a way under.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to
Get to swimming, man. See if you can swim across that river. Yeah, we actually had a listener send us an email. It's like, why don't you guys make fun of Mexican accents more often?
We did for a while.
I thought we did for a while too, but
we
we
try and
haven't.
spread it out. We're
We're trying to spread it out.
trying to be,
But nobody gets mad when we do Russian accents, so that's why we kind of stick with that.
you know.
Right? Nobody
Yeah.
cares. Nobody gives a crap.
We even had, he probably stopped listening because we offended him. But
Yeah, maybe.
guy in Russia, like, he even enjoyed it. I don't think he's probably enjoying it anymore. But
No, probably not. But
we're not specific to any race.
No.
Person. We just make fun of everybody. Okay?
everybody.
Apparently, you can't do that anymore, but we do it.
We do it, and screw you.
My wife, I get in trouble with my wife, so
Yeah.
anyway.
I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. The last thing I'll talk about is the skills and the knowledge. And we did talk about this a little bit, but in any SHTF scenario, the more skills and the more knowledge that you have, you're going to have a leg up over the masses of people that don't know anything. Most of them don't know jack crap
There's a
about
lot that
nothing.
don't know anything.
You know what I mean? They got some knowledge on like Pokemon or I don't know, something
Yeah.
like this is useless.
I know how
right?
to download some music for you from
Yeah.
LimeWire.
LimeWire.
Yep,
I know
goes
which
back to
ones
LimeWire.
don't. I know which ones not to download. Lost a couple laptops that way. You know.
2 hard drives down the drain.
Yeah. So you gotta have that knowledge. You know.
But it's crazy how far we've drifted from
Hmm.
like that. Because like I feel like my dad can just jimmy rig up anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like he can weld. I don't know if he is a good welder, but
Yeah.
like some of the stuff he's made to like function better
For sure.
on the farm. I'm like,
What
that's
the-
super dangerous, but it gets the job done way quicker.
We get the milk out the marketplace.
Yeah.
You know, it works.
We got shop backs for backup. Just been milking into a shop back for.
Come on, Bessie.
But you know, it's like they're super
Vacuum went
creative
down, we're gonna
nowadays.
hit
It's
down
like, well, power's out. I guess
Yeah.
we'll just go. I'm depressed. I can't do anything.
That's how it is nowadays,
Yeah.
too, man. Something breaks for me, I'm like, I guess I'll buy a new one.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's true.
I don't know what to do with it. You know. But anyways, that's hyperinflation, guys. Bad deal.
Yeah,
Not great. You know, if you can avoid it, I'd do
Yeah,
it. I'd
yeah.
avoid it. But,
I mean-
but get ready for it if you
yeah.
can.
Just like our listener review. I mean, the information I receive from them is just a bonus.
Yeah, exactly.
So be thankful for this bonus of whatever information
Whatever
you,
you
just
got
from
out
us.
of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, today's podcast is brought to you by TacPack, the only monthly tactical subscription box with useful professional grade stuff inside. Use code Casual Preppers and get a free separate bag of EDC gear along with your first month's TacPack. Head to TacPack.com. Use our code Casual Preppers. You're going to get the good stuff with the TacPack, especially if
You're
got
gonna get a good stuff.
you're going to get a good stuff. If you got a 5.56, you know,
Yeah, why aren't they sending bullets?
I don't know. Bullet
They
box.
did. They sent those little fake.
They did. Bullet box by Casual Preppers.
Yeah.
All right, battle box. We have a battle box today. Mission 75. Holy crap, 75 missions.
Wow.
Mooey missions.
Times 7 million sales. That's
Eee.
woo 7 billion or trillion or
They're,
whatever you
they're a
said.
government to themselves now. They
Yeah.
got so much money. I don't know what to
Battle
do.
box currency.
Yeah, battle bucks. Probably.
I'm sure they have.
Probably. They probably already have something like that. Let's start
The
with the
next one just comes with a big old stack of cash. These are going to be the new currency.
battle bucks. You live off these. The basic box. The first thing is the Beyond Bungee Trek Rope Lock Tied Down Tool. Wow. It's a pretty cool little tool. Cool
It's a
tool.
mouthful, but it's great.
Yeah. You can tie stuff down and you cut stuff and
That's got all kinds of stuff, huh?
I know.
pry tool,
Your
wire
dad would
stripper.
love that.
Oh, yeah.
Probably keep a tractor running for a millennium with that thing right there. You know what I mean?
No joke.
We should give it to your dad.
Dad, I'm giving it to you.
There you go, Mr. Hardy. Coming your way.
So did I ever tell you my dad tried to keep his CPAP going with a blow dryer?
He did not.
He's all, I don't know, maybe you just give me some. He tried to like hook the end of the hose up to it. It's like, something's got to give me some pressure at night.
Oh my gosh, did it work?
No.
No, it did not.
I just was like, you tried what?
This is not medical advice, Dad. Do not do
He
it.
got a new business now.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Blow dryers for your CPAP. The next item is the wildly good lightweight merino wool crew socks. And I was like, I brought this home and I'm like, dear, we got new socks in the battle
She
box.
wearing them?
No, I love them. I love socks.
I do too.
I love new socks, so I was excited.
If I was a billionaire, I'd have a new fresh pair of socks.
365 pair
Every money.
every day.
Every money.
Every
money.
Battle bucks.
Every day.
So those are great socks. They look nice, actually.
They do.
And then you got the Peak Refuel Chicken Pesto Pasta.
Hey, man.
Hey, man.
You got the chicken pasta. I got a little struggle there. This looks pretty good.
That's like the quote for you. I got a little struggle there.
I got a little struggle there.
Cam Hardy. I got a little struggle there.
Peak 2 refuel.
Peak Refuel, yep.
Never had this stuff.
I have.
Looks freaking amazing.
Haven't had that flavor, but it looks great. Then we got the Speed Hook Emergency Fishing and Trapping Kit for all your hyperinflation needs.
Speed Hook.
Speed Hook. Beat hyperinflation.
Quickest fisher in town.
Fisher in town. And then you go to the advanced box and you get the Laser Bright Single Mode Military Light. Military Light. So it does some cool stuff.
Where's that at?
It's right in your hands.
Is it this one?
Uh-huh.
It's in a weird little package.
Yeah, it does a bunch of stuff with light. I don't know. I'd have to look into it some more, but it looks kind of cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Laser bright lights and accessories.
Yeah, kind of neat. And then
It
you
looks like the actual shaft of the flashlight lights up,
Yeah.
and then you got the flashlight.
Cam's saying it looks like a dildo. That's what he's saying.
I'll be honest, it does look like it has an
It's a
applicator.
light up sex toy. Thanks, Battle Bucks. Cam Hardy approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then we go to the Pro Box and we got the Hybrid Light Mammoth Multi Light. I love hybrid light stuff.
Yeah,
they have some really good,
really cool.
good gear.
Really
Good
cool.
gear.
Look at that.
Yes, and it's solar. You can charge your other
Oh, it's
USB.
Crank
Got
and
crankies,
solar, huh?
Got crankies, got solars, all the good stuff.
I love crank flashlights.
I do.
You can just crank them 24 hours and you get a quarter of a minute.
Worth it.
Like 10 seconds
it.
of power.
And then for the Pro Plus, we got the Lord and Field Tallulah. Tallulah. Yeah, rhymes with Cholula, so I like it. It's the knife of the month. Cool little kind
The
of
shaft looks
scout
good on
carry
this one
leather
too.
sheath. Yeah. So great stuff from Battle
Looks
Box.
like a barber's knife.
Barber's knife. I know. We should try doing a quick straight shave.
Death.
Quick
We
death.
can quick
Let's try
carotid
doing quick
arteries.
death. Yeah. So that's Battle Box Mission 75.
Oh, yeah.
Good job, Ken.
It's
That's
time
awesome.
for the quick and dirty medical tip.
Okay, so I talked about this long ago, and I actually put a TikTok video and Instagram video. So
You know how to do that?
you can go check. No, I don't.
No.
Still, I still struggle with it. But fish hook injuries. So you may be going out there with the speed hook. It's going to go right into your finger. How do you get it undone? Actually, this
Nobody
doesn't have a
knows.
hook on it. Oh yeah, it does. Okay. So yeah, there's 3 methods of removing a fish hook.
Okay.
I don't know. Have you ever gotten one in there?
I've
Just
never
pulled it
had
back out
I've
of
never
panic?
had it so hard. And
Okay.
the one that I
What
had,
about the fish hook?
it didn't have the barb on it.
Yeah,
So
okay.
like it came out.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't look at me like that.
It came out and you were so
It
hard.
wasn't so hard.
But yeah, so that barb makes it kind of a nightmare when it gets stuck in there deep.
For sure.
So the easiest, I don't know, probably the more painful way, but the quickest is to just push the barb tip end through. So you just kind of wrap the hook so it pokes back out.
F you.
And, and then you've got the barbed end that you can clip off with some dikes or pliers.
If you don't have
And
pliers,
then-
don't do that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then you're going to have to pull it all the way back through.
Yeah, it would be a nightmare. You just pull the whole line
Yeah.
through.
Worth it.
So that's the most common way. That's actually how we do it most often in the clinic. Obviously, we have anesthesia, so it's way more pleasant.
Sure.
But if you're on your own,
if you're getting poked by the anesthesia anyways, why not just
push it through?
Push it through.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the first method. The second one is the jerk off method. No, it's
I like this one already. Show me how it's done.
It's the string jerk method. So you have your hook that's poked in there. You take with the remaining loop on the fish hook. You just put a little string on there.
Yeah.
And you want to push the eye of the hook down close to your skin so it kind of disengages the barb, and then you just yank it out.
Ow.
So you're going, you're going to probably pull some skin and some stuff off. But that's another quick way to do it.
Okay.
The third way, and those two previous methods you don't want to do if it's like near your eyeball.
Oh, sure.
Near your jugular, something like that.
In your ding dong.
Yeah. Yeah. This one is by far going to be the most painful one if you don't have anesthesia. But if it's all you have left, is you're going to push that hook towards the surface of the skin, and then you're just going to do an incision along the shaft of the hook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just run your blade down along it so that you just cut through the tissue, and then you just pull the hook right out.
Ow.
That is your last
Or
resort.
go the fourth method. Stop going fishing.
Yeah.
Ain't that fun
Fifth
anyways.
method, go to the clinic.
Yeah.
Because we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, those are the three most common ways to pull
and
it
you
out.
got a video up if you want to
I
see.
do. Yeah, so it's
visualized.
easier to see.
Yeah.
So just go and check it out.
Okay.
That's
Awesome.
all.
Thanks, Cameron.
That's it.
That's the whole episode.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, y'all. We appreciate you. Thanks for being a subscriber. And
Is this coming out at like 3 o'clock?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening tonight, join us.
Yeah, we have a live stream going tonight.
Yeah.
Thursday.
If you didn't see it and you're hearing this, you're like, hey,
May
finish the episode.
27th.
I'm going to get on tonight.
Yep, May 27th, 6:30 p.m. We're going to be online at the IG.
If you're listening to this next week,
and
you know
Facebook.
what? It's not happening tonight.
Yeah, go back and go back in time, Marty McFly. All right, see you later. Stay survived.